Today we're going to talk about Workbook 5A, Exercise 4. In the textbook, we're looking at page 13, and we're going to start with the idea that is a review for you to remember about rounding to the nearest thousand. Now, each of these numbers is a number larger than 1,000, and we're going to round. See the squiggly equal sign here? This sign right there, you could read that as about. So this is not the same as, but we're rounding it to the nearest thousand. And if you think about the number 49,287, that is more than 49,000 on a number line, and it's less than 50,000 on a number line. The question is, which one is it nearest to? Well, right in the middle of 49,000 and 50,000 is 49,500. And 49,287 is somewhere to the left of 49,500. So this number is nearer to 49,000 than it is to 50,000. So each time you have two options. Is this going to be nearer to 73,000 or nearer to 74,000? And when you think of 73,501, 73,500 is right in the middle, and 73,501 is just a little bit closer to 74,000. That's rounding to the nearest thousand. Notice, of course, I'm looking at the number in the thousand place. Now, if I don't want to draw a number line with each of these, I can realize that I'm going to round to the nearest thousand. The 4 is in the thousand place. That next number is going to tell me which one is nearer. Since it's a 3, it's going to be nearer 804,000. It's past 804,000, but not even to the halfway point. In the last one, letter D, I'm at 129,500. And we have a rule for this because this is right exactly in the middle. There's really not a nearest thousand because it's the same distance to both of them, to 129,000 and 130,000. It's right in the middle. The rule that we have is if it's in the middle, you always go up. So 129,500, the nearest thousand would be 130,000. If it's right in the middle, you always round up. Continuing on, we're doing more review, talking about the number 1,800 divided by 3. The easiest way to think of this is to call it 1,800 divided by 3, because I know that 18 divided by 3 is 6, so 600 is my answer. 1,800 divided by 3 is 600. And then we're practicing on number 9. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide using thousands. So again, we're still reviewing. This is 27,000, add 6,000. If I add 27 and 6, remember, I need 3 to go with 27 to make it a 30, and I have 3 left. So that gives me 33,000 for that addition. Notice it becomes mental math if you just kind of ignore the idea of thousands, realize 27 add 6 is 33, and then the answer is in thousands. Same thing with letter B. I have 45,000 minus 8,000. I know my answer is going to be in thousand, but what is 45 subtract 8? Well, that will be 37. So the answer is 37,000. You can kind of ignore the thousands and just deal with the 45 minus 8. If you have 7,000 times 4, what you have is 28,000. If you have 3,500 divided by 5, that's 700. We've done all of these before. This is all still review. Just remembering about how to do numbers and round, all of these kinds of concepts. Continuing on, we talk about an estimation. Now remember, to estimate means you're not going to find an exact value, and exactly how you round or choose to simplify the problem, it could be done many different ways. In this book, what it always does is takes a 1,000 number to the nearest 1,000. So 2,934 is closer to 3,000. And actually, I said that wrong. It's not really the nearest 1,000. It's just going to the next one. Because remember, 3,000 is 3,000. And if I multiply it times 6, I'll get 180,000. No, that's not true. Let's try this again. If we have 2,934 times 6, we can estimate that to be 3,000 times 6, and the reason we use that number for estimation is just because it's an easy one to do the math with. So 3,000 times 6 is 18,000. I don't need to worry about the 30. It's just 3,000 times 6 is 18,000. 5,423 divided by 8. Division is a little trickier because you have to come up with a number that will be divided evenly. And if I think about the multiples of 8, there are 48 and then 56. 6 times 8 is 48. 7 times 8 is 56. We could keep going. 8 times 8 is 64. 5 times 8 is 40. But the ones that are closer are 48 and 56. And 5,423 is closer to 56, so I'm going to call it 5,600 divided by 8. The reason I chose 56 is because 56 divided by 8 is 7, so 5,600 divided by 8 is 700. On the work that we're doing over the next few days, you'll find that the better you know your regular math skills, the multiplication and division numbers, factors and multiples, the faster you'll be at all of these problems. So continue practicing those. Number 12 has us estimate several problems, and we'll do these together. If we're going to estimate this, we could call it 6,000 plus 6,000, and the best estimate would be 12,000. This one we could call 80,000 plus 9,000 and get 89,000. Notice what it basically does is get one number and a bunch of zeros. So 78 would be 80, 8,900 would be 9,000. 8,307 subtract 4,265. If I'm going to estimate that, I'll say it's going to be pretty close to 8,000 minus 4,000. It's going to be similar to 4,000. Letter D, 45,627 could round to 46,000. 7,324 could round to 7,000. And if I subtract 46,000 minus 7,000, then I would get 39,000. Now, it would be a fair question to say, how come I made this 46,000 instead of 50,000? And you could. 50,000 subtract 7,000 is going to be 43,000. The estimation will only be as close as your rounding is. So if I round that far off, 43,000 is not as good of an estimate. The 39,000 is a closer estimate. But if the book doesn't tell you exactly how to round, how to estimate the number, then you have some latitude, especially on a problem like letter D. For E, 3,806 times 9, the quickest way to estimate that is to think of it as 4,000 times 9. Since 9 times 4 is 36, That answer will be 36,000. 9,754 times 5, 10,000 times 5. This is going to be an estimate of 50,000. Again, division takes a little more thought. 4,785 divided by 6. I know that 48 is a multiple of 6, and so 4,800 divided by 6 is going to be 800, because 6 times 8 is 48. 3,782 divided by 4. My choices are to go to 36 or to go to 40. Those two are multiples of 4, and 3,600 is closer, so that will give me 900. Could you have alternately called that 4,000 divided by 4? Yes. If you go to the nearest thousand, it'd be 4,000 divided by 4. And that answer would be 1,000. On these kinds of problems, there are some that you could have a couple of answers, and without any more information about how you have to do it, you have some choices about how you would like to do it. All right, so most of this is going to feel like a review. Some of it is going to feel like it's making your brain think really hard, but this is exercise 4, and you can complete that exercise now.